That line doesn't work. Oh, no, that one. I put food in there the first time I came here. I had that. I was like, what is going on?
Hey y'all, I'm just getting ready to eat a little something. Get ready to do the food test. Y'all know my big fat ass. I just ran away from home. That's all. I ran away from my husband for the week. I ran away. I had to run away.
Nobody wakes up one morning and casually runs from their husband straight into the most chaotic house in hip-hop history unless something is seriously off. And that's exactly why the internet froze when whispers started spreading that Karlissa allegedly packed up and showed up at Blueface's house like it was a safe zone. No warning, no soft explanation, just boom, marriage in crisis headlines everywhere. This wasn't a quiet family visit. This felt like an escape route, and the timeline noticed immediately. Screenshots started flying, old lives were replayed. Like crime footage, people weren't asking if there was trouble. They were asking how bad it must have been to make her run toward chaos instead of peace. Because let's be real, Blueface's house isn't known for calm conversations and healing energy. It's known for drama, dysfunction, and enough family tension to power a reality network for years. That's why this story hit different. It didn't feel random, it felt loaded. Like a secret slipped out before anyone could lock it down, the Kardashians would need 6 producers and a season finale to manufacture this level of tension. But this family did it in one move, and the silence afterward, even louder. No denial, no clarification, just the internet filling in the blanks like it always does. Was Karlissa running from marital problems? Was this a breaking point? Or was this another chapter in a family saga that never knows peace, whatever the truth is? One thing is clear, when someone runs toward the storm instead of away from it, people assume the calm at home is already gone. And once that assumption hits the internet, there's no walking it back. Buckle up, because this situation isn't just messy, it's a full-blown family implosion in progress. This didn't erupt because Karlissa changed locations. It erupted because of where she allegedly went and what that move symbolized to an internet already addicted to family chaos. When whispers spread that she ran from her husband straight to Blueface's house, the timeline didn't treat it like a coincidence. It treated it like a flare shot into the night sky. Because people don't run toward peace, they run toward shelter, toward backup, toward the place where they feel safest when something behind the scenes is cracking. And Blueface's house, that's not a neutral address. That's ground zero for unresolved family tension, public feuds, and years of drama that never really got closure. Karlissa has never lived her life quietly. She speaks with confidence, posts with intention, and inserts herself into situations with the energy of someone who knows attention follows her everywhere. So when her name popped up tied to a sudden move away from her husband, nobody framed it gently. They framed it dramatically. Because drama is the language this family has, always spoken fluently, the internet didn't ask whether something was wrong. It assumed something had finally boiled over. The phrase marriage in crisis didn't appear out of thin air. It appeared because the optics were loud. Leaving a spouse is one thing. Showing up at your son's chaotic epicenter is another. That choice told a story whether she meant it to or not. And online, meaning doesn't belong to the person making the move. It belongs to the people watching it. Immediately, timelines started stitching together past moments, old statements, and vague comments that suddenly felt prophetic. Things that once seemed harmless were replayed with new suspicion. That's how narratives are built, not with proof, but with patterns people want to believe, Speculation spread faster than clarification because none arrived. Silence hung heavy, and silence in celebrity culture is never read as peace. It's read as confirmation, strategy, or fear. Pick your poison. Gossip pages leaned into the mess. Reaction channels sharpened their thumbnails. Comment sections filled. With theories ranging from marital arguments to full-blown breakdowns, nobody knew anything for sure, but certainty wasn't required. The story felt believable, and that was enough to carry it forward. What made this moment especially combustible was Karlissa's history with family drama. This isn't a stranger stepping into controversy. This is someone whose past interactions have already primed audiences to expect fireworks. So when she allegedly ran toward Blueface's house, people didn't ask why she didn't go somewhere quiet. They asked why she went somewhere explosive. And that question alone fueled the crisis label. The internet also has a strange habit of rewriting intent. A visit becomes an escape, space becomes abandonment, distance becomes disaster. And once the word round attached itself to the story, it painted everything in urgency. Running implies danger. Running implies desperation. Running implies something you're trying to get away from. That single word did more damage than any confirmed detail ever could. Karlissa's husband, meanwhile, became a shadow figure in the narrative, barely seen, barely heard, which only added to the intrigue. When one side of a story goes quiet, the internet fills the silence with imagination. Was he blindsided? Was there an argument? Was this planned or impulsive? Each unanswered question became another reason for people to keep talking. And talk online always escalates before it resolves. The most uncomfortable part of this phase was how quickly empathy evaporated. Instead of asking what might have driven her to leave, people jumped straight to entertainment mode. The situation was framed like a reality show teaser. Marriage trouble, family conflict, a familiar house. With familiar chaos, all the ingredients were there, and the internet couldn't resist stirring the pot. Defenders tried to slow things down. They argued that marriages are complex and nobody online knows what happens behind closed doors. They reminded everyone that family doesn't stop being family just because the internet labels a move as suspicious. But those voices were drowned out by louder ones hungry for escalation. Because calm explanations don't trend, mess does. What really sealed the narrative was timing. This didn't happen during a quiet chapter. It happened while the Blueface universe was already buzzing with tension, commentary, and unresolved issues. So Karlissa's alleged arrival felt like a plot twist wrapped into an already chaotic season. People didn't see it as random. They saw it as inevitable. By the end of this stage, the damage wasn't factual, it was perceptual. Marriage in crisis became shorthand, a label people used without thinking twice. And labels, once attached, are hard to shake. From that point forward, every move Karlissa made would be filtered through that assumption. Every appearance near Blueface's world would raise eyebrows. Every absence from her husband would spark fresh rumors. And the most dangerous part, this was only the opening chapter. Because once the internet smells instability, it doesn't let go. It watches, it waits, it looks for confirmation in every shadow and every silence. Whether the marriage was actually in trouble or not almost stopped mattering. The story had taken on a life of its own. This wasn't about proof. It was about optics, history, and the internet's obsession with family implosions. And once those three collide, the fallout is never small. It's layered, it's loud, and it's rarely contained. The moment the rumor hit critical mass, the internet did what it does best. It stopped waiting and started deciding. Karlissa's alleged move didn't just trend. It mutated. It evolved from she went to Blueface's house into she ran, then into she escaped, and finally into this marriage is done. No confirmation required. The crowd already felt emotionally invested, and emotional investment always demands escalation. Suddenly, every gossip page was posting like they had inside sources. Every reaction channel spoke with the confidence of someone who definitely wasn't guessing. And timelines everywhere turned into amateur detectives piecing together vibes like they were evidence. Memes showed up fast. Which is how you know a situation has officially left the realm of seriousness. Screenshots of Karlissa were paired with dramatic captions. People joked about her choosing chaos over commitment. Others compared the situation to reality shows where someone storms out mid-argument and never comes back. The humor was loud, but the judgment underneath it was louder. Because memes don't just entertain, they frame how people are allowed to think about a story, and once the joke becomes the headline. Nuance doesn't stand a chance. Then came the commentary from the sidelines, not direct callouts, not explicit accusations, just carefully worded posts dripping with implication. The classic internet move, marriage is sacred. Some people don't respect commitment. Running from problems doesn't solve them. Nobody named Karlissa, but everyone knew who the shoe fit. Those vague posts poured gasoline on the narrative because they let critics feel morally justified without owning the consequences. It wasn't gossip anymore, it was values. On the other side, defenders tried to push back. They reminded people that nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors. They argued that leaving a situation doesn't automatically mean betrayal or failure. They questioned why Karlissa was being judged harsher than men who disappear without explanation all the time. But defense rarely trends unless it comes with drama. Calm logic doesn't go viral. Conflict does, and conflict was winning. What really sent this phase into overdrive was how quickly unrelated drama got folded into the story. People dragged in old family feuds, past arguments, and long-standing tension between Karlissa and other figures in Blueface's orbit. Suddenly this wasn't just about a marriage, it was about loyalty, control, and family power dynamics. The story expanded outward like a spill nobody could contain. Every old clip felt newly relevant. Every past comment got reinterpreted as foreshadowing. Blueface's house became a symbol rather than a location. It represented chaos, unresolved conflict, and emotional volatility. So Karlissa being there was treated like a statement whether she intended one or not. People weren't asking what she needed. They were asking what message this sent. And once symbolism enters the narrative, logic leaves completely. Symbols don't need facts. They need belief. Public outrage reached its performative stage. People weren't just reacting anymore. They were announcing their stance. Comment sections filled with declarations instead of questions. I'd never do that. That's not how a wife moves. Marriage means staying. Each comment wasn't about Karlissa. It was about the commenter signaling their own values, and Karlissa's situation became the backdrop for everyone else's moral performance. At the same time, sympathy quietly grew in smaller pockets of the audience. Some people started noticing the imbalance, the way speculation turned into condemnation without evidence, the way Karlissa's autonomy was framed as betrayal instead of self-preservation. But those voices were drowned out by louder ones addicted to the chaos. Because outrage culture doesn't reward empathy, it rewards certainty. Karlissa's silence during this phase only intensified things. Every hour without clarification was treated like confirmation. People don't tolerate ambiguity. Online, they fill it. And the longer she didn't speak, the wilder the theories became. Some claimed this was a breaking point years in the making. Others insisted it was a strategic move. A few went further, suggesting this was just the beginning of a much messier fallout. None of it was verified. All of it was repeated. The husband's absence from the conversation added another layer. When one side of a relationship stays quiet, the internet assumes guilt, shock, or damage control. Pick one. His silence became a character trait assigned by strangers. Suddenly he was framed as wrong, controlling, distant, or irrelevant depending on who was telling the story. And once someone becomes a character instead of a person, fairness disappears. This is the phase where the internet stops asking what happened and starts predicting what will happen next. Divorce speculation, estrangement theories, family blow-ups. People weren't reacting to reality anymore. They were writing future episodes in their heads. And those imagined outcomes felt real enough to argue about. By the end of this stage, the situation had officially outgrown its origin. It wasn't about whether Karlissa actually ran from her husband. It was about what the internet needed the story to be, a cautionary tale. A morality play, a reminder that no relationship is safe from public dissection. The outrage wasn't fueled by facts. It was fueled by expectation. And that's when the consequences began quietly lining up. Because while the internet was busy yelling, real-world perceptions were shifting. And once perception shifts, nothing stays untouched. Not relationships, not reputations, not futures. The chaos had peaked. The jokes were everywhere. The opinions were locked in. And the audience was already waiting for the fallout, convinced it was inevitable. By the time the noise started fading, the narrative had already settled into something far heavier than a rumor. This is the quiet stage of controversy, the part people underestimate. No trending hashtags, no explosive clips, just a slow, uncomfortable shift in how everyone looks at you. Karlissa didn't wake up publicly divorced, disowned, or canceled. That's not how modern internet fallout works. Instead, she woke up branded with suspicion. And suspicion is the one thing you can't clap back at. Because now, everything gets reinterpreted. Every post becomes intentional. Every silence becomes strategic. Every appearance away from her husband gets read as confirmation of something breaking behind closed doors. The internet doesn't need updates once it feels like it understands the story. It just waits for validation, and that waiting is where reputations quietly take damage. The phrase marriage in crisis didn't disappear when the chatter slowed down. It lingered. It became shorthand, a lens people now use to view every move she makes. If she's smiling, people ask why she looks relieved. If she's serious, they assume stress. If she's quiet, they call it damage control. There's no neutral ground. Once a narrative sticks, you're either confirming it or hiding from it. Depending on who's watching, behind the scenes, perception does what headlines can't. People start choosing distance, not dramatically, subtly. Conversations pause, invitations slow down, support becomes quieter. In public-facing worlds, especially ones orbiting controversy, no one wants to stand too close when a situation feels unstable. Even if nothing has been proven, uncertainty alone is enough to make people cautious. And caution feels a lot like judgment when you're the one being watched. Relationships feel it first. Not just romantic ones, but family dynamics too. Once the internet inserts itself into a marriage, pressure multiplies. Every private disagreement feels louder because millions of strangers have already taken sides. Even if Karlissa and her husband were simply navigating a rough patch, that rough patch just got amplified by speculation, and speculation doesn't heal anything. It stresses it. What makes this fallout uncomfortable is how little closure exists. There was no clear explanation that satisfied everyone, no statement that shut the conversation down. Just time passing and attention drifting elsewhere. And when stories end without resolution, people fill in the blanks with whatever fits their expectations. That's how assumptions become memory. That's how rumors turn into remember when moments. Karlissa's association with Blueface's house didn't help that process. That location is permanently tied to chaos in the public imagination. So even if her presence there was innocent or temporary, the symbolism stuck. It reinforced the idea that she runs toward volatility instead of stability. Fair or not, that perception now follows her, and once symbolism takes over, facts become optional. The most dangerous part of this stage is how normal it starts to feel. People stop questioning the story and start referencing it casually after what happened with her marriage. Ever since she ran to Blueface's house, those phrases slide into conversations like accepted. Truth, no disclaimers, no allegedly, just assumption. And assumption is how reputations get rewritten without consent. What's ironic is that the internet rarely wants people to actually resolve their issues. Resolution ends content. If everything is fine, the story dies. But if things stay ambiguous, the door stays open for sequels. And ambiguity is exactly what this situation produced. No clear ending. Just enough tension to keep people watching. Karlissa's continued visibility became its own controversy. She didn't disappear. She didn't publicly break down. She didn't perform remorse or vulnerability for the audience. And that refusal irritated critics more than any statement could have. Because outrage culture demands either apology or collapse, stability feels like defiance. This is where the narrative shifts from reaction to expectation. The internet now expects more drama, more fallout, more confirmation that this marriage really is in trouble. And expectation shapes interpretation. The next disagreement, the next absence, the next family moment will be viewed as proof of something people already believe is coming. And let's be honest, this isn't just about Karlissa. It's about how the internet treats women who move. Independently of the roles it assigns them, leaving a situation gets framed as abandonment instead of agency. Choosing family over marriage gets labeled as betrayal instead of complexity. The crowd isn't interested in nuance, it's interested in control. What lingers after all the noise is a quiet recalibration. Karlissa is no longer just outspoken or dramatic in the public eye. She's now unsettled, unstable, going through something. Those labels don't scream, but they stick. And once they stick, they color every future storyline. The truth, whatever it is, almost stops mattering because the internet has already decided what this move represents. And in viral culture, representation beats reality every time. The story doesn't need new information to survive. It just needs time. This isn't the end of the saga. It's the pause before the next chapter. Because once a family situation gets framed as fragile, the audience watches closer, waiting for cracks. And if no cracks appear, they'll imagine them. Karlissa didn't just step into Blueface's house. She stepped into a narrative storm that doesn't care about clarification. And storms like this don't vanish. They circle. They wait. And the next time her name trends, this moment will be right there, ready to be replayed, reinterpreted, and repackaged. And this right here is why celebrity marriages don't fall apart quietly anymore. One move, one rumor, one house, and suddenly, the internet is writing divorce papers in the comments like it's a group project. So now it's your turn to talk. Did Karlissa really run from her husband? Or did the internet turn a family decision into a full-blown marital meltdown for entertainment? Was this an escape, a pause? Or just another moment blown out of proportion because chaos sells better? Then context, drop your unfiltered take in the comments, because the truth doesn't trend unless people actually say it out loud. And while you're here, smash that like button like it owes you money and keep switching phone numbers.